Happy holidays. Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday.
The Partial Breakaway Podcast with your hosts Nick and Junior and producer Vince, bringing you elite fantasy hockey information to help you win your fantasy leagues and win at life.
Episode 128 of the Partial Breakaway Fantasy Hockey Podcast. I'm co-host Junior, accompanied as usual by producer Vince and co-host Nick. Guys, we have some much better equipment for this week. Temporary equipment for this week. So after last week's abysmal show, we decided we needed to do something. So here we are, plenty, and I mean plenty to talk about. Boys, how are we feeling?
Wow, you really brought the energy in this introduction, Junior. Wow.
Sorry,
Yeah,
guys,
you're
I had
doing
you
a
on.
little bit better than last week. I mean, last week was a little bit of a disaster. We do apologize to everybody that listened and actually sat through that because it wasn't pretty.
And as you could realize, it was Nick and Junior's fault because Vince was just even.
Yeah, we can barely hear you now, so I mean,
no interruptions. It was just perfect.
I think you need to put your mic a little bit closer to your mouth and stop watching the game in the background.
It might have been because of my internet.
Anyway, so we apologize for that. We apologize for not having any clips out. The video was really not good enough to make clips with. The audio was passable at best. So in order to get you some content, we let the audio pass, but the video was not of good quality. But lucky enough, this week's going to be much better. So if you want to see our clips, you follow us on X, Instagram, TikTok at Partial Break Pod. Like and subscribe on YouTube. We're going to be active, very, very active. Guys, are we ready to jump into it? Because this is going to be a long odd man rush with more than 30-second takes. I can guarantee you that.
We have a trade to announce.
Oh,
We have two trades to announce.
baby.
2 trades to announce.
Well, actually, there was 3 in the NHL this week, wasn't there?
There was.
You have to wait.
Yeah,
for the
there was
odd
just
man.
one that wasn't that fantasy relevant.
Odd Man Rush.
All right, welcome to the On Man Rush, where we take news, notes, and trends of the NHL and turn them into 30-second takes, which usually last 3 minutes. This segment obviously is sponsored, as usual, by Sportira at sportira.apparel on Instagram, www.sportira.com for all your team uniform and apparel needs. All right, let's jump right into it with the biggest news of the week. Quinn Hughes
Goes for the
traded
Devils.
to the Minnesota Wild in return of a first-round pick, Marco Rossi, Liam Ogren, and Zeev Buium. Vince, what was the first thing that came to your mind when you saw Quinn Hughes was traded to the Minnesota Wild?
It was, he didn't go to the New Jersey Devils. Listen, the first thing that came to my mind is it is impossible to get and return the worth that Quinn Hughes really is. It's like trading a McCarr. It's like trading a McKinnon. But what Vancouver got in return, I mean, they typically got 4 first-round picks. Because Marco Rossi was a first-round pick, Ogren was a first-round pick, Buium was a first-round pick, and they got the first round in 2026. They got one established NHL centerman in Marco Rossi. Now, is he an established number 1 centerman? I'm not sure about that, but he could definitely be a very good number 2 centerman. They got Buium, who is going to be their next Quinn Hughes. Won't be as good as Quinn Hughes. I mean, I don't think anybody can be as... Like, Quinn Hughes come every once in a decade. They don't come every year. So, to replace him with Buium and then Wielander as his wingman. I think Vancouver got out of this really, really well. And for the Minnesota side, listen, they're just in a shithole of a division with Dallas. No, but I mean, you have Dallas, you have Colorado. Like it's just
I wouldn't call that a shithole. I would
no,
call
I
that
know, but I'm just saying for Minnesota fans, it's just like they have a good like if they would have been in the Ducks division, I mean it would have it's just your first round you're either playing Dallas or you're playing Colorado in the playoffs if you're making the playoffs. Which at the end of the day, Bill Guerin had to do something, and I mean he got himself as number one a number one defenseman stud. So they have a year and a half to convince him to stay with Minnesota. And I'm not too sure they're gonna flip him next year if they're in a playoff in the playoff hunt.
Nick?
Well, I mean, you got a top 3 defenseman. So it's hard not to say that this was a huge win for Minnesota. Last year, Quinn Hughes actually finished 3rd in defenseman scoring with 99 points. The only 2 people better than him were Werenski, who had a phenomenal year at 115 points, and Cale Makar at 130 points. So Quinn Hughes is a superstar player. And they kind of made the deal the way, if I was Vancouver, the way I would like to do a deal like this. And that means that at least get one piece back that could potentially become a replacement for Quinn Hughes. Not maybe 100%, but like you said, Ziv Buium has the possibility of becoming a top 10 defender in the league, points-wise. So they got that piece. And then you added Ogren, who's probably going to be a middle six player with a big shot and some physicality, which they could use. And they got a second line center in Rossi. I think Vancouver came out of this very, very well, but it's hard not to say that Minnesota won the trade because they got the best player in the deal.
Yeah, I agree. They won the trade because they got the best player. But considering the circumstances, Vancouver really pulled one out of their hats here. Like, this is the type of deal a superstar gets traded for. And now, obviously, I mean, all these players need to pan out to what they're expected to be. But if they decide to rebuild, or maybe they just retool now because of this big package they got in return. Like, Rossi's an NHL player. He's a number 2 center already in this league, potentially number 1A or 1B, maybe. Buium was already showing signs of being a point-producing defenseman. And Ogren's was already an NHLer. So, and those are 3 first-round picks. So, yeah, I think you boosted that rebuild into a retool just with one trade. You know, you're not obliged to get rid of a guy like Besser or Pedersen now if you don't want to. You know what I mean? You kind of already now built yourself a small core, a new core.
That's right. And I would add also for owners of Pedersen and owners of Besser, this just helps because Vancouver wasn't really surrounding these guys with much beforehand, right? And Quinn Hughes was not having a good season this season. You could tell he was already checked out. He's 17th in scoring so far this year. So you could tell he wasn't being his top 5, top 3, let's say, Quinn Hughes of old. So now that he's in Minnesota, I think this is going to be a year and a half where Minnesota has to convince him to resign because they gave up 3 first-round picks, like you mentioned, and a 4th because there's actually a first-round pick in the deal. That's a lot to give up if you only got somebody for a year and a half.
Nick,
or win a cup.
Yeah, Nick, sorry, Quinn Hughes got how many points 76 points last year, right?
99.
No.
Maybe he
24,
paced
25.
He paced.
I have
he only played
99
6
points here.
On Frozen Tools, I have he played 68 games and 76 points. On pace for 92 in 24-25. Just
here it says regular season defenseman. I'm on
Yeah,
NHL.com.
he got 76 last year.
okay.
Paced for
yeah,
92.
because that 99 sounded a lot because I know he missed a lot of time last year.
He's never hit more than 92 points in his career.
Yeah.
It's weird. I'm on NHL.com and it's giving me like he played 94 games.
Oh, maybe it's playoffs? Did they play playoffs last year?
No, last year I don't think so.
No, they didn't.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Very odd.
Okay, guys, very quickly before we move on. By the way, they all got a point in their first game, I think, except for Ogren. I'm going to ask you a player at a time, whether their fantasy stock rises, stays the same, or regresses, okay? So, Nick, I'll start with you. Quinn Hughes, fantasy stock in Minnesota goes up, down, or stays the same?
I mean, he was already a superstar player. Hard to figure that. I think it goes up. He won't necessarily do more points than last year, but he's finally out of the dumpster fire that was Vancouver. So I think it's moving up in the right direction.
Vince, Marco Rossi with Vancouver. His stock rises, decreases?
I think it stays the same because he was playing with a Kirill Kaprizov from Minnesota. I mean, it's not like he wasn't being used with Minnesota. The problem with him playing with Minnesota was Minnesota was a playoff team, so they were very careful when they were sending him out and stuff like that. With Vancouver, there's a little less pressure, so I think you'll have more ice time. They won't cut his ice time if he makes a mistake because there is no pressure of making the playoffs for Vancouver. So I mean, that's the only difference I see. But he's also not playing with a Kirill Kaprizov, right? So I think it just stays intact just because he'll get more minutes and like the first power play and stuff like that.
Nick, back to you for Zeev Buyan, which he got a goal and assist today in his first game or yesterday. I mean, if you looked at the goal and the assist, it was kind of a fluke a little bit, if you will, but so let's not get overly excited, but he did look good.
I mean, Zeev was a very young player, and he's still a very young player. I'm just saying that, being traded the first time is a little bit of a shock to the system, but he seems to have come, like some of the answers that he was giving at interviews, seems to be very mature, very ready to keep going, and supposedly Minnesota never treated him badly, so I think here in Vancouver, he's going to be the hope and dream of Vancouver fans.
Fair enough. I won't ask you guys about Ogren because he's a middle six guy. I'm not sure much changes for him, right?
No, I don't think so. I mean,
We have a trade to announce.
Another one. Yeah.
Can I say something on Minnesota? The one thing Minnesota has was with this trade is that they're the only ones that can offer Quinn Hughes 8 years right now for a contract next year.
Well, yeah, and
I mean,
and
that helps.
nobody knows. Maybe Minnesota ends up recouping some of this capital
Yeah,
that they
exactly.
lost, right?
Yeah.
In
Yeah.
another trade, if they have to trade him away. But so who knows? But rumors were, and I think it wasn't even rumors. I think it was Pierre LeBrun came out to say it, and Frank Saravelli came out to say it, that New Jersey Devils were in on it, but they just didn't have the assets to.
They didn't have
So
they
the
didn't have
teams
the
that
second
were
line centerman apparently.
the teams that
They're
made an
saying.
offer that were essentially refused were the Detroit Red Wings, the New Jersey Devils, the Washington Capitals, and the Buffalo Sabres. The Buffalo Sabres, though, were kind of on the outs there, but I thought Washington was pretty interesting. The last thing I want to say before we move on, I mean, this is an important topic, so I don't mind that it goes over a little 3 minutes. The only thing that I didn't like from Minnesota's perspective is I'm not sure this was the time to make that move. I get it, there's an opportunity, but you got rid of Rossi. This is your center depth chart right now. Eriksson, Ek, Urov, Hartman, Sturm. I'm not sure you're beating Dallas, Colorado, or anybody else in the West with that down the middle. So either another move is coming, or they really have high hopes on Urov, which so far hasn't really shown to be a number 1 or 2 center. Still young. It's his rookie year.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. I'll just say that Hartman's done it before. I'm pretty sure they're comfortable with him doing it again, at least as a second liner.
All
And
right.
They've been trying to get rid of Rossi for a while, by the way.
Yeah,
They didn't
so
want
this-
they didn't want to
They
sign
really
him.
don't like him.
Yeah.
There's something they don't like about him. All right, finally,
It's not
the
they don't
Edmonton
like-
Oilers.
Garrett doesn't like his size. That's what it was.
Guerin doesn't like his size. Yeah, well, that
was
doesn't surprise me. He doesn't want to take a guy like Caulfield because he can't play in the Olympics.
Exactly.
Anyhow, Olympic type of
Hudson.
hockey. Or Lane Hudson. Okay, yeah. So finally, the Edmonton Oilers fixed their goaltending woes with Tristan Jarry.
I was gonna say, do they really fix their goaltending woes?
Okay, guys, he beat the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, I don't know if that makes my point any better or worse, but what do we think? Nick, we'll start with you this time. Tristan Jarry and Poulin traded to the Edmonton Oilers in return for Stuart Skinner, a second-round pick in Infinity and Beyond, and Kulak.
Okay.
The second pick was in 2029.
So it's funny because a lot of people are going to look at the stats and say, well, Skinner was actually starting to come into his own. He was doing a little bit better in Edmonton in the last couple of games. And you go out and you get Tristan Jarry, who has exactly the same stats as Skinner pretty much, right? And it was on waivers last year.
Yeah, he could have had him for free. No, earlier this year.
Last year.
Not even last year.
It was the beginning of the year.
But the fact of the matter is my understanding is because Jarry played for the Edmonton Oil Kings, they have a lot of confidence in him being like a hometown kind of thing and coming into play for Edmonton and being better. Is Jarry better than Skinner? Slightly, I'll say yes. He has some... I mean, they both have Stanley Cup experience, right? I mean, Skinner went to the Cup Finals twice in a row. But I think a little bit better, Jarry, just a tad. I mean, I remember the year that he got a bunch of shutouts. and it was
That was
really
last
bad.
year.
Yeah, and it was really bad every other game he played, but he got shutouts.
He led the league in shutouts, I think, but he had the worst goals against average of the league too.
Yeah, it's a little bit crazy.
It was a silly stat like that. Yeah.
Vince, anything to add?
I think. I mean, listen. I think there's a sideways move from Skinner to Jarry, but I believe Kulak is the bigger loss for Edmonton here, because I think Kulak was a great number 5-6 defenseman for them, who could have pushed up to the fourth and the second pairing if needed to. So I think Kulak is the one they're gonna miss more than Skinner. I mean, their defense right now is Ekholm, Bouchard, Nurse, Regula, Stastny, which they got from Nashville, and Emberson.
So that's another trade.
Yeah, that's what I was going to add. Is
They
that they
replaced Kulak with Stastny, basically.
for a third-round pick.
Yeah.
That was the trade.
And Kulak was a UFA at the end of the year.
Yeah.
He had 0 points in 25 games in his last
No,
25 games.
he wasn't there for your points, that's for sure.
Yeah, and he was supposedly not having a good year at all, even defensively.
I still think Edmonton's missing more than just a goalie, and like Nick said, I mean, Tristan Jarry might be a little upgrade, but I mean, they're losing 4-1 to Montreal right now, so
Calvin
was in nets.
Pickard.
Yeah, Calvin Pickard was in nets, but I don't know. I guess this is a wait and see. And for Pittsburgh,
go
Pittsburgh,
ahead.
it was it's a win-win because they're not keeping Stewart next year. I think he's a UFA, if I'm not mistaken, next year.
So I actually brought these on purpose because you know how Kyle Dubas wears fake glasses because he makes him look smarter. I'm going to put my Kyle Dubas glasses on here, and I'm going to explain to you that Kulak and Skinner are both UFAs. So really, you got rid of Jarry's contract. You didn't retain anything. The guy was on waivers not too long ago. You got two pieces that are going to be UFA, so that their cap falls off the books. And if Skinner does decently, then you could resign him if you want to. But if not, you have Merkulov waiting in the wings.
Yeah.
You know, so this is win-win-win for Dubas. And you got a
100%.
second rounder just for.
And I'm Nick. I'll see your glasses and I'll raise you another. I'm gonna go credit to Kyle Dubas here. No retention on the deal. Absolutely no retention on Tristan Jarry. for a guy they could have had for free, he got something in return. So credit to Kyle Dubas, despite all the criticism he's had over the years.
Don't put glasses. Okay, I put my glasses on. And yeah, but I think that was the biggest thing. Dubas was going to trade Jarry, but the biggest thing is he didn't want any retention. And he got it. This is a phenomenal job by Dubas on this trade.
Yes, agreed.
All right. Ooh, this is going to be an interesting one. All right. So the popular Corey Pronnman of The Athletic came out with his prospect rankings for the upcoming draft. And wouldn't you know it, Gavin McKenna, as everyone expected, is number 4 on his list. So I'll give you his top 4. And Vince, I'll start with you. You tell me what's happening here.
Ooh, okay, go.
Tynan Lawrence, 6-foot player, weighs 185 pounds. He's a center in the USHL. He's at number 1. Keaton Verhoff from North Dakota. He's 6'3", 208 pounds. He's a defenseman in the NCAA, right-handed defenseman. So we know how important those are. Ivar Stenberg from Frölunda. He's a left winger, 5'11", produces a bunch of points. And then Gavin McKenna at Penn State, 5'11", 170 pounds, left wing at number 4. So this is essentially the top tier of the draft. Everybody else falls into the what he calls a second tier. What do we make of this? Is this clickbait or is McKenna legitimately at number 4?
Didn't he have Higgins as number 1 at one point last year in his stats?
I mean, he's a little bit controversial. He's gotten some things wrong. He's gotten some things wrong.
No.
But,
My point is this. It's not about him. Problem is, I mean, he is who he is. He likes I don't think he likes controversy. He just likes discussion. He likes to create a discussion. But it's really early in the year. To me, McKenna went from playing in the OHL to the NCAA, which is a huge adaptation period. And the World Juniors are around the corner. So, we'll talk after the World Juniors and see what goes on. There's so many changes that could happen with these young prospects by month. Every month you can come up and there'll be a different standings with how these kids are ranked. I still think Gavin McKenna is the number 1 pick over here. And I still think Vershoff is at number 2. But, like I said, it's Pronnman likes to have two open discussions. And this is what he did with this article.
Nick?
Yeah, I mean, Gavin McKenna has not had the year that he was expecting when he moved over to the NCAA. If he would have stayed in the WHL, and I think he came out and actually said it, if he would have stayed in the WHL, he would have been killing it. No questions asked that he's the number 1 overall. But because he moved to Penn State, and the NCAA is a different animal than the WHL, all of a sudden, his offensive creativity is not shining as much as it was in the WHL. He came out to say that he's been trying to play a more rounded game, but it's not reflecting on the stat sheet, and Pronnman, I think, has hurt him because of that. He does have Tynan Lawrence as the number 1 player on his list, and this is subject to change, of course. But I'm just really curious to see how this is all gonna play out. But Lawrence is another top line center. This is gonna be a great draft, guys. Like Stenberg, I love Stenberg. And to be fair, he has put all 4 of those guys, including Verhoff, Stenberg, McKenna, and Lawrence, as his tier 1. So he hasn't dropped McKenna down a tier. He's still projecting him as a superstar, but not as high as he had him at the beginning. So it's great for discussion.
Yeah, well, it certainly created discussion, and if you go on X or any social platform where he released this article, you'll see that all the fans that have players of which he rated extremely low are not coming at him. Like, for example, the Habs fans with Lane Hudson, or the Dallas Stars fans when he ranked their prospects and he had Dellandrea above guys like Hintz and Robertson. So, yeah, it's controversial to say the least, but guys, I really like Ivar Stenberg, so I'm curious to see how it all plays out in the end. And the World Juniors are going to play a big part in that.
And the biggest thing is for McKenna, which I think is what he's adapting to, is that if you were to stay in WHL, the maximum age in the WHL is 20 years old. You can't be older than 20 to be playing the WHL. In the NCAA, it's 21 with sometimes more restrictions where players can be 22 or 23. So I think that also has a lot to do with like I think the Denver team that won the title
Yeah, it was the oldest team.
I think they were the oldest team at averaging 22. And when you're 17, 18, playing against 21, 22 makes a huge difference.
Okay, so let's keep talking about these young guys. Most of the teams have released their roster or preliminary roster for the World Juniors. And I want to take a look at Team Canada, which has both Gavin McKenna and Keaton Verhoff on their roster. I'll name you the main players. So you have Gavin McKenna, Michael Misa, who was loaned by San Jose, Porter Martone, Tija Gilna, Jed Luchanko, Michael Hage, Cole Reshny, Cole Baudouin, Liam Greentree, Caleb Desnoyers, Brady Martin, Carter Bear, Jake O'Brien, Braden Coots, Sam O'Reilly up front as forwards. And on the D, they have Keishan Aitchison, Zane Perek, who was loaned from Calgary, Cameron Reed, Harrison Bernicki, loaned from Pittsburgh, Keaton Verhoff, Ben Danford, Jackson Smith, Ethan McKenzie, Carson Carels, and then George Ivankovic and Ravensbergen as their goaltenders. Guys, this is a pretty damn stacked lineup. Are we talking gold medal here, Vince?
We're always talking gold medal. That's the standard.
I think
for
I should
Canada.
have went to Nick, but it's okay.
The standard for Canada is gold medal, but the USA has a hell of a team, and Ty Lawrence did not make that team. Just to throw it out there. So I mean, the US looks like a juggernaut also this year. So uh, it's gonna depend. Gavin McKenna had like wet his feet last year in the World Junior. I think they limited his time and limited uh, where in occasions he would play in. So I think this year is the year where he needs to pull a Connor Bedard, like Connor Bedard, to take the team on his shoulders and run with it. So, but it won't be an easy task. I mean, I just looked at the U.S. roster and they have a loaded roster.
Nick?
Yeah, the U.S. has a really good roster. You're talking about guys like Will Horcroft, Cole Hudson, James Higgins, Cole Iserman. They're going to be a very hard out, that's for sure. But I am very interested as well in some of our D on Canada. Keishan Aitchison, for example, is having a phenomenal year again, putting up all kinds of goals. I'm very interested in Ravensburger, right? We're talking about a goalie that's highly touted, that didn't necessarily go as the first goalie in his draft. I see Cameron Reed, another one, maybe more of a two-way guy, but I'm so interested in what that's going to look like for Team Canada, and I think that our strength is really going to be on the D, and that's not to mention that there's not forwards that are extremely good as well, right? So it's going to be a really fun World Juniors this year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of stacked teams, a lot of teams that will compete. It's not going to be a given as to Canada playing US in the final. But let's just focus on Canada for a second here. From this roster, I have my eyes on Tija Gilna. I want to see what he's all about. And a tournament like this will tell me a lot about him because the type of player that he is usually comes out and stands out in tournaments like this. So I got my eyes on him. I'm going to ask you guys, name me a player on this roster that you have your eyes on that's not named Gavin McKenna.
I'm gonna say Verhoff in defense. I mean, there's so much hype
What's
around
the hype? Yeah.
this kid, and I mean, he's got players in front of him. The good thing that's going for him is that he's not going to be the main piece in that on that defense. Like Nick said, like it's Parek and Aitchison. Those are going to be the two horses they're going to go with. But yeah, he's one guy I'm going to look at. I'll give you another one to Luchenko. I just want to see if Philly whiffed or not on this player. Like, so I'm really interested to see how he does in the World Juniors.
Well, for Montreal Canadiens fans, there's also Michael Hage,
Yeah.
who made the team. That's going to be freaking interesting for them as well.
Scheduled as a winger, projected as a winger right now on this team.
Zane Parek, right? We haven't seen much out of him in Calgary in the NHL. So this is going to be an opportunity for him to showcase what he could do within his own age group. And lastly, if we're really sticking to Canada, because I had a Sweden player I wanted to watch, you know, Michael Misa, is he going to be ready?
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's been injured all year in San Jose so far, almost all year. I'm really curious to see if he's going to be ready for the World Juniors this year, if he's going to play.
Out of curiosity, who's your player from Sweden?
I just traded for him.
Frundell.
I'm looking forward to seeing Frundell. And I traded Sebastian Aho. I got back Frundell, a top 10 pick in the upcoming draft, and Lindholm from
Elias.
From Boston, yeah. But basically, Frundell, it was the big piece of that trade for Sebastian Aho that I did, and he's look. How good has the rest of that roster looked? That draft year looked, right? There's some really good pieces there, and this guy went third overall. So,
Yeah, he's been hot and cold so far this year in Sweden. He's had his moments for sure.
Well, he's playing with against men. He's 18 years old still. And he still has something like 10 goals, 5 assists in 25 games, if I'm not mistaken, or the last time I checked. So he's been doing pretty decently if you're considering him as an 18-year-old against men in the SHL. So he should dominate a tournament like this. So we'll see.
Fair enough. And speaking of an 18-year-old to a 21-year-old playing against men, Jacob Fowler got the call-up from the Montreal Canadiens while their goaltenders were having big-time troubles. In 2 games played, he's got 1 win, 1 overtime loss, a 3.42 goals against average, and an 8.94 save percentage. To be fair, his first start was much, much better than the second one where he allowed 5 goals. Not necessarily all his fault, but the first game he played was a quality start. The second one wasn't. Nick, what can you tell me about Jacob Fowler to the being called up by the Canadiens? Does he seem like the real deal in this extremely small sample size you saw?
Well, I mean, I watched the replay of that game because I just couldn't watch it live. And the one thing I noticed is that he looked so calm in nets, kind of reminiscent, and I don't want to say it, but kind of reminiscent of Carey Price's calmness. I'm not saying that he's as good as Carey Price. But the calmness, I think, gives a lot of confidence to your defenseman, gives a lot of confidence to your team, that you're always back there, you're always good, you're always in control of the net. And then the game after that kind of showed that he might not be ready. Or the defense in front of him, at least, was hung him out to dry.
A major meltdown, to be honest.
Major meltdown. He ate, how many was it? 6 goals against?
Was it 6-5 or 5-4 the final score? I don't remember. They had like a 4-goal lead.
Yeah, and poor guy, I mean, you know, not the best way to enter your second game of your career. But I'm hoping that, and the funny thing is, so you have you have
Jacob
Fowler, sorry. He's up now, and you're playing Dobesh tonight against Edmonton.
4-1 win.
4-1 win for Dobesh. Montembeault hasn't played since what? November.
A while.
I think I saw a tweet on it. It's been like very long time ago. So I'm wondering if this is an indictment on Montembeault moving forward.
Montreal had to do something. They were struggling in nets. My message to Habs fan: temper your expectations on Fowler. He's a young goalie. When Carey Price came into the league, he didn't come off the bat and win the Conn Smythe. Like he struggled, and then he won in the AHL, and then he came back, and then his career started. So I mean, he looked like Nick said. He looked very calm in the net. Maybe we that came out more because Dobish and Montalbo didn't look so calm. It looked more like they were swimming in their net sometimes. So maybe that's why we noticed more. But I think we need to temper expectations. He is an NHL caliber goaltender. How elite can he be? I think that we still need to give it time. We can't judge it on such a small sample that we have.
I'll just say when the season started, I was like, keep Fowler as far away as from the Montreal Canadiens as you can. Let him season completely to the point where it's boring for him to play hockey in the AHL. Make it be so easy for him that it's boring. And then maybe a little bit more and then bring him up, when the Canadiens are a little more stabilized. But considering the circumstances, they had no choice. They needed a shakeup because both their goaltenders were literally costing them games at this point.
Yeah.
So they needed a shakeup. And what happens when you call up a young kid like that? Nobody wants that young kid to look bad. And I understand Dobish is young, but Dobish has played 20 plus games now in the NHL. It's easy to forget about that. But when a young kid like this with this pedigree comes up, everybody tightens up. Everybody's aware. Everybody's communicating. And that's the result the Habs management essentially wanted. They only got it for one game. So like now, as Dobish finds his game and Montembeault, hopefully they send him back down and this was just a temporary fix. Hopefully.
Do you guys think Montembeault is in trade talks right now? Do you think Hughes is like just testing the market to see if Montembeault is tradable?
I think it'd be a mistake right now.
I agree. I'm just asking, do you guys think, because there is rumors out there that people are
Well,
knocking just to
the
see.
rumors were about the Habs looking for goaltending help, not necessarily who they were planning to trade away. So
He's a excuse me, he's a pending UFA, right?
No,
Who,
I think he
Montembeault?
just
he
signed a
signed.
Or did he just
contract.
sign
3.35 or 85?
Sam Montembeault is in the second year of a 3-year deal. So next year's his last year
Exactly.
at 3.15. I think they just the reason he hasn't played maybe is like give him practice time to find his technique again as much as possible, and hopefully he finds his game and they don't need Fowler or any other goalie for that matter.
I think best case scenario is Fowler comes in and just doesn't come out because he's that good.
I know, but at 21, I feel like it's not going to be that easy. We'll
Carey
see.
Price never
We'll
got
see.
out again.
We'll see. You're right. All right, from one goalie to another, a veteran one this time. Vasilevsky finds himself on IR. His teammate and veteran Victor Hedman hurt again. Decided to go get a second opinion. He's out till the Olympics, but will still join Sweden for that Olympic tournament. Guys, is Johansson fantasy starter at this point? Can you trust him enough to do that? And I don't want to say who's going to replace Hedman because we all know who it is. But what do we think of Radish's come out party, man? I'll go with you, Vince.
Yes, for Johansson, just because Tampa Bay is still a really good team, and they still have been winning without Vasilevsky there. So I think he can be a short-term solution for you. And if your answer is not that Radish is taking over Hedman's position, I don't know who is, because this guy at $950,000, man, is he a hidden gem that got discovered.
Nick?
Well, Vasilevsky, it's really unfortunate for Vasilevsky. In his last 7 games before getting injured, he had 6 wins, and all 7 of them were considered quality starts in advanced metrics. He had a .917 save percentage. He was running away with steals and goals save above expected. Like, he was playing phenomenal hockey. And it's just too bad that he ended up getting injured, especially for me, because I own stock. Darren Radish, I also own stock. I've owned this guy for 2 years now in Lama, and he's always been doing well, decent as an offensive defenseman, except that he never played all the time. They would always sit him out 2, 3 games at a time, and then put him back in, and then sit him out, and then put him back in. But he's not young. He's 29 years old. He's a veteran player who spent quite a bit of time playing, well, the last 3 years since I've owned him, in the NHL. Before that, he was, where was he before that? AHL, Syracuse. So he's doing great, and I think I actually got calls on him this week.
Yeah, I was gonna call you because you said you were retooling. I was gonna call you about him actually.
Yeah, and he's a find right now. He's a find. If you could grab him, especially with Hedman injured, I think this is a good play for you moving forward.
All right, that's 2 big injuries for a veteran team, which should find ways to get by without them. But when a young stud on a young team gets hurt, that's a little more difficult. Nick, what do we think of Bedard's injury? As far as we know right now, according to Elliot Friedman, an MRI was done and he will not travel with the team for their upcoming road trip versus Toronto, Montreal, and Ottawa Senators.
Another guy that was having a phenomenal year. 44 points in 31 games. He was on pace for 116 points this year. I think he was top 3 in NHL in scoring. He was having a coming out party, 5 points in his last 3 games, and then he gets hurt. It's really unfortunate for Chicago. I think that you could pretty much, if you own and are holding on to Bertuzzi, if you could drop him, get rid of him until Bedard comes back at least, because I don't think anybody else on that team is going to get points.
Yeah, fair enough. Vince, another young guy, out 8 weeks. Logan Cooley. We thought after he ran into the post, slid into the post, I should say, that he was injured, but he managed to play through that, but then got hurt again. This is a big loss for the Utah Mammoth.
Well, he's their number 1 centerman, so it's a huge loss for Mammoth. Their depth down the middle is not very good, but they're gonna have to try to challenge themselves for the next 8 weeks and try to stay in playoff contention until he comes back. I mean, luckily they have a guy like Nick Schmaltz that can play left wing center. Pretty sure he can play defense. I think the only position he can't play is goalie. So, but one of the two guys that needs to step up is either Hayton or McBain to take that number 2 center position, which Barrett Hayton, I mean, I don't know. He's had his chances and hasn't risen up to the occasion, so I'm not sure if he could. But this is a huge loss. It's their number 1 centerman. It's gonna hurt.
Another guy who left the game that we still have an uncertain status for, but it did not look good. Will Smith of the San Jose Sharks took a hit versus Pittsburgh, left the ice crouching on one knee practically. Nick, what kind of impact does this have on the San Jose Sharks? Does it affect Celebrini at all? And who do you think could emerge here with his absence?
Yeah, I mean, Will Smith was having a pretty good year this year. It's very unfortunate, obviously, but I don't know if you've noticed a little bit of a trend here. There's a lot of injuries this year, and it has to do with how condensed the schedule is, right? He looks like he's day-to-day, according to Frozen Tools anyways, so I wouldn't put too much stock into his injury. 72-point pace, which is going to be a career year for him so far. So I think that Will Smith is obviously a very young player. He's had the most time on ice that he's ever had this year, and he's on power play 1. So, you know, it's a loss for San Jose, but you just hold on tight until he comes back, and hopefully it's not too long.
Another young guy who's actually starting to have a little bit of a breakout for the New Jersey Devils, Simon Nemec According to Sheldon Keefe, he will be out some time, which is not a little bit, seems more like a lot. Vince, what do you make of Nemec? Terrible timing to get hurt. And I mean, we know what this means for everybody else, but is there anything notable you need to add?
Listen, for the thing with Nemec is I don't understand why he doesn't get talked about as much as all the other, like Luke Hughes on the Devils. I mean, they have the exact same amount of points. Luke Hughes gets 43% power play, whereas Nemec gets 28.3% power play time. I think this is a huge loss for New Jersey because I think Nemec is a better two-way defenseman, one of the better two-way defensemen, and he was playing 20 minutes a game, which is ridiculous for a defenseman his age, which means Keefe really trusted him in important opportunities. So this is a huge loss for the Devils. I mean, I don't think the Devils can buy a break. I mean, Jack Hughes is out, Nemec is out. At one point, the injuries are going to start stockpiling, and it's going to hurt them in the win column.
Bo Horvat also going to miss about 1 to 3 weeks with an injury. The Islanders were looking pretty good, a lot better than most of us expected. This is going to be a pretty big loss, though, right, Nick?
Yeah, hopefully it's 1 week and not 3 because Bo Horvat is having a career year at the age of 30 years old. On pace for 79 points, which would have been higher than any other season that he's ever had. He's been killing it with 19 goals in 32 games. Absolute phenomenal season by Bo Horvat, and it turned the entire Islanders team around. I expect, basically right now, out of necessity, I expect Barzal to be the top line center on this team until Bo Horvat comes back. But it's very hard to replace that 20 minutes and a half of time on ice, 71 minutes, 71% top power play deployment, 11 power play goals, right? Points, sorry, 11 power play points. He's been doing very, very well. I hope this doesn't hamper him. And for the Islanders' sakes, really hoping he comes back soon.
Anybody that's going to benefit from his absence or not? Not really.
Well, I mentioned Barzal already.
Okay, yeah.
But if you want to keep mentioning names because you want this to go even longer, I can keep going.
Well, no, because I just thought Barzal was the obvious one. That's okay. We'll move on.
I did say Barzal.
I know. I just thought that was the obvious one. That's why I thought you were going to say a different name.
No, I mean, look, Barzal is the only other center. Maybe Pajot is going to play second line center now.
No love for rookie Richie.
It depends.
It's tough, eh? For a young guy to come in and step in like that.
It's a big role. It's big shoes to fill, right? I don't know if Roy is going to trust him this quickly to be a center on the top line. So, I don't know.
All right, the last injury of this episode, Jordan Kyrou will be out week to week. Probably the most mysterious player of the whole league. Not sure why he's in all these trade rumors, but still puts up 35 goals every year. Vince, what can you tell us about Jordan Kyrou, what this means for the Blues, and if anybody is going to really take advantage of this situation?
I can tell you that the Quinn Hughes saga is over, so bring in the Jordan Kyrou saga because he looks checked out with St. Louis, and I mean I think he's hearing all the trade rumors. I think St. Louis is just trying to find a dance partner to trade him. So I mean, like you said, he's been hitting 30 goals for the past last 3 seasons. Right now, he's stuck at 8 goals in 28 games, pacing for 47 points. I'm not sure he's going to hit that 30 goal this year. He's going to miss a few games. St. Louis is, I mean, last year they made that strong run that put them into a wild card position. I do not see them doing that this year. With him gone, I mean, if there's a player you guys think you should pick up, it's Chick Neighbors. He'll be playing with Robert Thomas and Pavel Bugniewicz, so I guess he'll get the time on ice Jordan Kyrou did. So I think he'd be a good little pickup for a depth move that you need if your team needs.
Well, I was just going to say is that Kairu has had the least amount of ice time than he's had in 5 years. They're just not playing him, and they're not even
No.
putting him as much on the top power play anymore. So, in that sense, he's just not. He's not really getting the opportunity to produce, and yeah, I agree with you. He's checked out from there.
I feel it's a bit like the Chinnikov story in Columbus, where they're not giving him the ice time because he demanded a trade. So we'll see.
And I thought of you actually this weekend because Shinikov scored, assisted by Ken Johnson. So I think they're both on the fourth line now. Okay, so one of the things that we've been saying basically at the beginning of every season is pay attention to sample size and the shooting percentage and things like that before assuming that a player is going off and is going to break out. I want to bring your attention to 3 players, and we'll start with the negatives. Remember the hot start Kiefer Sherwood was on and the hot start that Emil Heineman was on? Heineman had 9 points in his first 13 games. Sherwood had like 9 goals in 9 games. And now, Heineman has 1 point in his last 11 games played. Sherwood has 1 point in his last 10 games played. So the regression we all saw coming finally came. And from the other perspective, remember the poor start Hagel was on for the Tampa Bay Lightning? He had 1 point in his first 7 games. And as we speak, despite only having 1 point in 7 games, he's pacing for 82 points this year. Nick, what do you have to say? Can Heineman and Sherwood turn it around? Or is this just a natural progression of what their season was going to be from the beginning? And the same with Hagel, you can add.
Well, I'll say about Sherwood, you're absolutely right. He was on way too big of a heater to start the season, but he's also pacing for the highest time on ice than he's ever paced in his career, and it's very possible that he could at least be a serviceable player moving forward, especially in hits leagues, because he already has 140 hits. He's on pace for almost like 350 hits this year. I expected the goals to slow down because he was on an unsustainable shooting percentage, but the hits are possible. He might still be a 45-point player when it's all said and done, so you could judge whether it's valuable for your league or not. Heineman is a player that scored in a shootout. I know it doesn't count, but he did a shootout winner last game for the Islanders. I like him, but he's a very, very young player, and I don't know if he's really a top 6 material. But we'll see kind of how it goes for Heineman. Hagel, I always knew that he was going to bounce back, and thank freaking God that he did, because I traded a lot for him in LPHL last year. On pace for 82 points, like you mentioned. If he didn't have that slow start, he'd probably be on pace for 90 points like he had last year. So I'm very surprised that Hagel is continuing his output. Only 27 years old, so I'm hoping this continues for the next 3 years at a minimum.
Sorry, I was a little quick on the trigger there with the bell before. Still getting used to this temporary equipment. Vince, I think Vince is the guy that's most pissed off about Emil Heineman's regression. His bold take is at stake here, but maybe we'll get into that in the Fantasy Lens episode.
We're still good. Don't you worry about it.
Vince, a player that for some reason is not being talked about enough, at least not according to me. Josh Doan is averaging 2.6 shots on goal and is on pace for 59 points in only his 3rd season in the league. 4 points in his last 4 games. What can you tell us about Josh Doan? I know you liked him a lot. You have him in a couple of your teams, I think. Talk to us about Josh Doan.
I think Josh Doan, the change of scenery helped him. I think with Utah, he wasn't considered in their top 6. But with Buffalo right now, he's getting that opportunity to play with their best player, which is Tage Thompson, and he's running with it. I mean, he's playing 15 minutes and 30 seconds time on ice, whereas Before with Utah last year, he was playing 13. Uh, the biggest thing is his power play. Utah, he had 29% power play. Right now with Buffalo, he's at 53.6. So 2 minutes and 41 power play time, and with Utah is 1 minute and 24 last year. His shooting percentage is 12.2. I don't think it's extremely high, maybe a little, but not extremely. I mean, he's taking his opportunity. He's pacing for 59 points, which would be not his career high because his career high. I mean, he had 9, 19, and two. He only had 2 seasons to compare. But I think he's found a fit in Buffalo, and I think he could constantly be a top 6, very productive offensive player for them if he plays with the right players.
And lastly, probably the funnest topic of them all, Phillip Rivers of the NFL came out of retirement at 44 years old to help the injured-riddled quarterbackless Indianapolis Colts. Almost got them a win, actually, today. So my question to you, Nick, and then Vince, you give your take, please. Which retired NHL player can come out of retirement as we speak, this day and age, and still hang with the new modern NHL?
I'll tell you one guy, and it's Big Z. Zdeno Chara.
Oh,
Zdeno Chara might not put up points in the NHL anymore, and that's because he's retired. But if he does come back, the guy's still running marathons. You guys know that, right?
yeah.
He's out there running marathons at his age. If anybody could come back, it's him. He would probably still have the legs to come back and play, probably in a diminished role, probably in a defensive role, but he would definitely be a valuable player even at his age. What is he now? 40? I think he's 44 as well now. But he would be valuable.
I go with Rod the Bod, Brendamore. I mean, look at the guy's in better shape than some of his players are. He could come back and just take that number 1, number 2 center position that every team needs. So I go with Rod the Bod, Brendamore.
So just to clarify, Zdeno Chara is 48 now. He can still do it. I believe it.
Guys, that does it for a really long Odd Man Rush.
This is Michael Rosenbaum. Hey, folks, let me tell you that drinking and driving is a decision that will change your whole world. Things will never be the same once you get a DUI because legal fees and time in court are just the beginning. Getting into a crash is another way your world could be irreversibly changed after drinking and driving. Your vehicle may not be the only thing that gets damaged in that crash. You could face a life-altering injury or even death. But you're not the only one who could face those consequences. Your decision to drink and drive could permanently change someone else's world, whether you injure them or leave their loved ones grieving. The next time you're out drinking, call a rideshare, a taxi, a sober friend, or a designated sober driver. Always plan for a safe ride home. The only decision that will change your world for the better is the decision to call for a sober ride. It's never worth it to drive drunk. Don't risk it. Drive sober or get pulled over. Paid for by NHTSA.
And now, a word from our sponsor. The jaw-dropping moments that make hockey, hockey. Experience them all with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NHL. Missouri listeners, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in the Show Me State. New customers, this one's for you. Bet just $5, and if your bet wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets instantly. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code THPN. That's code THPN to turn $5 into $200 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. Pass-through of per-wager tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. Copyright NHL 2025. All rights reserved.
That Nick affectionately calls Pebble, but no one else likes it. Hearts will break away, listener.
I'm so happy that these sound bites are going to sound so much better this week.
Why, you didn't like my singing last week?
That we have
trying to
sound
say?
bites.
Negative. Yeah, that we have sound bites. You're right.
All right, well, big congratulations this week to Vito P, who had the most points in the period.
That's a great DJ name. DJ Vito P.
Vito P. Second place was Bo Knows. He was a guest at our podcast, I think,
Yep.
about 15 episodes ago. And then Dro22 in third place. The good news here, really, is that I have two teams in the top 10, while nobody else has two teams in the top 10 for my co-hosts. So that's the greatest part.
Whoa, hold on a second.
You don't
What
have
do you
two
mean?
teams. You have one team.
Oh, yeah, one team. You're right.
Yeah, and
Okay.
so does
What do you mean in
Vince
the
Max
top
T.
10?
But this is in this period, this week.
I'm talking about this period. I said it
Okay.
from the beginning. All right. Next.
Okay,
let's
What,
move
what
on.
about the general standings, Nick? I want to hear
Nobody
more
cares
about
about that. So I just want to mention, so Vito P ended up with the highest points in this period. He had Celebrini, Zegras, DeBrincat, Kaprizov, Boldy, Josh Doan, Lane Hudson, Darren Radish, ladies and gentlemen, and Scott Wedgwood in net. So he really did really well. His cheap contracts played exceptionally well this week, and I think that's what helped propel him to the top of the period. In the general standings, he is actually first right now for the season. Listener Bats, who is also the commissioner of this league, is in second. And Dro, who had another great week, is actually in third right now. So the standings are going really, really well here. A lot of different people are having different strategies that are working out very well. So I'm really enjoying this. Guys, I'm going to mention to you right away the schedule for this week, because schedule for this week is quite important to know who's playing 4 games and if there's any team playing 2, which, by the way, there is nobody playing 2 games this week, but there are a lot of teams playing 4 games. I'm just going to rattle them off here. Anaheim, Boston, Dallas, Detroit, Edmonton, Florida, Minnesota, Montreal, Nashville. The New York Rangers are the only team playing 5 games this week.
Wow.
So start your Rangers, ladies and gentlemen. Ottawa with 4, Pittsburgh with 4, St. Louis, Toronto, the Mammoth, Capitals, and Jets with 4. So, like I mentioned, there's no team with 2, a lot of 4s, and 1 team with 5 games this week. Next, let's talk a little bit, boys, about your strategy for this week and who you are aiming for. Let's start with producer Vince. What is your team looking like this week?
I just dressed New York Ranger players. That's all I did. I just stacked them. 5 games. Told you, that's my strategy for one of my teams. Stack the teams that are having the biggest, most games. And, yeah, it's just... I had to just pick between either JT Miller or Zibanejad, because I couldn't fit Panarin, Zibanejad, and JT Miller. So I went to JT Miller. I think last game he showed that he's getting out of his little downfall, and I trust him more than Zibanejad. So I literally went with just Ranger players and then all ELC contracts. And the only place I spent money, a little bit more money, was in nets with Dostal. Since he's come back from injury, he's been doing well, so I spent a little more money there.
All right, Junior, what does your team look like this week?
I'm dipping my toes with to the Boston Bruins. I'm gonna go Pasternak, Geeky. I like their opponents this week: Utah, Edmonton, Vancouver, and the Ottawa Senators. Neither of which know how to play defense. So that's number one. I also like the fact that Demidov is heating up. So I'm combining him and Oliver Kapanen, an ELC contract that not many are using, but I think is noteworthy enough. And I like Sidney Crosby. He's playing the Canadians twice this week, back to back, towards the end of the week, and that's like 5 points guaranteed. I mean, he's guaranteed to get a point against the Habs. So I'm going with that. Look, to start the year, I had my finger on the pulse. Everything I was touching was gold, and lately it's been the total opposite. I feel like I'm starting to gain my momentum again. I had a good week. Watch out for me this week, guys. Watch out.
All right, for myself, I am actually going to end up going with, a top 5 player in the league so far that has a rookie contract is Leo Carlson. He's playing 4 times this week. I'm going to go with Leo Carlson. Because of what Vince said as well, I'm going with JT Miller. 5 games this week, and he's starting to come out of his groove. Will Cooley's been doing very well as well, and he actually throws the hits around as well. Only $3.9 million for Will Cooley. I added the shaved head Panarin. That's where most of my money went. Demidov, like Junior said. Beckett Seneke. I think Beckett Seneke has been doing very well lately. It was a battle between him and Jackson Blake as a comparison for my LPHL team, and I think Seneca is finally starting to win that battle. Lane Hudson, again, playing 4 times, cheap contract on D. Josh Morrissey has been doing very well as well. I picked Josh Morrissey with $6 million. And, ladies and gentlemen, Dennis Hildeby. Toronto's playing 4 times this week. He's going to get some starts. The Hildebeest is a very cheap contract for a very, very good goalie, I think. And so I'm hoping that pans out for me in nets. Guys, any team that you see, I mean, you kind of mentioned it already, but just to put a cap on it, who has the easiest schedule for the week?
So if you look at the strength of schedule, obviously Rangers have the easiest strength of schedule. They play Anaheim, Vancouver, St. Louis, Philly, Nashville, which out of those 5 teams, there's only one right now that's in a playoff position. Then there's Dallas, who plays LA, San Jose, Anaheim, Toronto. Ottawa and Utah, those are all the teams that their strength of schedule is 60 and up. Ottawa is an interesting one. They're playing Winnipeg, but then it goes to Pittsburgh, Chicago, Boston. So they have a few players that could be interesting in starting your lineup. And then the Mammoths. But the Mammoths, I feel, have a tougher schedule. I mean, Boston, Detroit, New Jersey, and Winnipeg.
With Hellebuck back, eh? Winnipeg.
Yeah, yeah. And if you pick if you want to spend money, if you really want to spend money on a goalie, Winnipeg, I think, is the only team that does not play back-to-backs but plays 4 games. So you can almost guarantee that Hellebuck will play 4 games. Because
3 at least.
Well, nah, he's gonna play 4. Have you seen Comrie? Why do you think he came back from injury so early?
I know, but they might not.
Oh yeah, we didn't even mention that, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah, that should have been an odd man rush, but I think it was long enough to begin with.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting.
All right, gentlemen.
Are we?
Have you guys ever seen that before? 5 games in a week?
Yes.
You have?
Yeah, before, yeah.
It's rare, but yes.
But
That's wild.
Junior,
Yeah.
are we doing merch prize next week because it's Boxing Day?
That's the week after, I believe.
Yeah, exactly.
So
this
not
week,
this
the week
upcoming
after that.
period, the one after. Yeah, we're gonna probably do another merch prize for sure.
For the Boxing Day week.
For
Boxing Day week,
us Canadians.
Keep it.
Yanni
Five.
should be receiving his
Boxing Day
his
for
merch
everybody.
prize this week for
Americans
the
don't have
period he won.
Boxing Day, Nick.
Americans
do
don't
not-
have Boxing Day?
I do not think Americans have Boxing Day.
Of course they do.
No, I don't think so.
Oh, I'm gonna look that up. Is Boxing Day
Is this a dad joke that you're
a
trying to
thing in the USA? Why don't Americans celebrate
No.
Boxing Day?
No,
Really?
not celebrating the USA. Yeah, told you guys.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I
Makes Black Friday even more important, I guess, right? Are you gonna say your dad joke, or is that it?
Guys, this was a great
hey,
episode.
Hey, I'm ready. You ready?
Yeah, that's how you end it, and then we take off. Just want to remind everybody to follow us on socials. We're going to be very active again. We took a week hiatus because of lack of quality, but we will be back on X, Instagram, and TikTok at Partial Break Pod, and of course YouTube. Like, subscribe. It doesn't cost you anything, but it means the world to us. Thank you.
Quality, he means what we were saying and how bad the video was.
Yeah, obviously. First and foremost, what we were saying.
Useless information, guys.
Hey, what kind of shoes do frogs wear?
Oh dear God.
Open-toed sandals.
6 on 10.
3 on 10.
All right, we'll see you soon, guys.
Happy holidays! Want to give your host a gift? Consider subscribing, rating, and reviewing the show this holiday season. It really helps the show grow. From all of us at Believe, have a Merry Christmas, everyone, and a Happy Holiday. If you like the show, please take a moment to rate, review, and subscribe. It really does help the show to grow. Thank you for listening.